Well, welcome everybody. This is Heidi Kaizen, and I'm with Hen Chicks Studio in Conrad, Iowa. And I am so lucky today to have a special guest, Patrick Lose. Hi, Patrick. How are you doing?
Hey Heidi, hey everybody. I'm doing great. I'm lucky to be here too. I love getting to speak, especially with fellow Iowans. So
Absolutely. We have connections. I just have to say to everybody, we have known each other for a long time because you are an Iowan in the
yeah.
at heart, right? You're, you
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah.
you don't live in Iowa anymore. And there
I
were
have a
years.
place there now though.
Oh, you do? So you
I
can come
had
back and
to.
visit.
I needed to be able to visit more often. So yeah.
Well, that is
Enjoy.
awesome.
Yeah.
And you and I worked together. Oh, the
Yep.
photo shoots and the projects.
Yeah.
It was always an interesting
I
time.
loved it. Yeah.
Yes. And Patrick, one of the things I have always admired about you is your creativity. And we're so excited to be offering a 4-week, I'm going to call it a sew along, using one of your patterns called Shining
Shining
Stars.
stars. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so much we could talk about today, but I thought I'd focus a little bit on your you have a colorful palette. And how do you pick out fabrics when you are starting to talk about to think about making a quilt?
Um, sometimes it's collection centric. I might have a specific collection of fabric that I need to either promote or inspire people with. And so it's a given what the colors are going to be and what the palette's going to be. And I want to say also on Shining Stars, that was a collaboration between myself and Jean Nolte. So Jean did a lot of the
Oh,
work. She did the bones, the skeleton of it, and I helped her color it um, because it's just so crazy
awesome.
busy
And
anymore.
I've known Jean for a
Exactly.
long time too. So what a great
Yeah.
duo you two are.
Yeah. Yeah. And we like us, we had so much fun working together that we've brought it, neither of us really, like Jean says she's retired, but she's not. And I have no intention of retiring. So we have to still have fun doing this. So anyway, getting back to color, that's how the color came about in Shining Stars. I knew the collections that I wanted to work with, and I wanted them to be from my reorderable collections with Patrick Lowe's Fabrics. And Patrick Lowe's Fabrics is a division of Northcott, and we have some collections that are reorderables. And so that's what we wanted to focus on with this so that people could still get the fabrics if they wanted to use the same
Mhm,
pieces.
mhm, mhm.
And
And do
I
you
wanted it to just pop. Yeah, I love putting color together, but most recently in a collection, I did a neutral, black, white, and taupe. And people think, what's wrong with him? Is he okay? But it's like I love that too. So all colors.
You bet. And do you think, I kind of know a little bit of your background, but maybe you could share just a little bit how you have been working with color over the years. You mean you were I'm going to say in garment design,
Yes, yes.
costume
Uh-huh.
design, and I mean, how'd you find your love of color?
Well, it's kind of a funny story, and I don't want to take too long to tell it, but I was at my very first quilt market. I had brought some patterns with Indigo Junction to Quilt Market and got to go to market. And at that market, I was, discovered by Moda and had a collection out like within 3 months after that. But as I was walking the market, this was 1993, and the colors were deep and desaturated and hunter green, burgundy, the more primitive colors,
Mhm,
and I love those also. But I thought, if I want to do something here, if I want to make my mark, I better do something different. And so I decided to, with my first collection, be very bright and bold, and it hit. I think it worked, and so I just stuck with it. The marbles that I designed, I believe, are still in print 32 years later. And with each relationship that I've had with different fabric companies
mhm,
and moving to different companies for evolution, wanting to do different things, I've still sort of kept to the brights.
mhm,
People know me for bright, clear um, hues and various values of those hues. Like I still love to do some desaturation of color and tone it down a little bit and give you jewel tones and things like that. But it's still about color. It's still the
Mhm.
basis of what I do.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. And, when you're designing a pattern like this, of course, the theme, I'm gonna say, is stars,
Right.
and working with Jean, to me, I look at your things and I see updated traditional. Would you describe your look as that, sort of that,
Yeah,
I'm gonna say, I don't know how else to call it other than it's got some traditional elements to it,
absolutely.
but yet the final design is definitely more modern.
Yeah. And a good example of this in my April release, I don't know, can I hold up a picture to the screen to show you
Oh,
something?
sure, absolutely,
Um,
we love show and tell.
okay, so I have our new lookbook, and we came out with, and Jean and I worked on this also, a new quilt that's actually very modern, but it uses traditional, flying geese. This quilt is called
Oh,
Integration, and it uses the same fabrics and colors as the Shining Stars quilt. So
yes.
yeah, it's still, I learned by traditional methods. And so I incorporate them into what I do. And that was a lot of flying geese, maybe more than, than I really ever wanted to do. But I loved the way the design worked and integrated color into modern. And it wasn't all solids. It was monochromatics that play like solids, but have some texture to them. And I think the industry and makers are moving toward that. They're wanting to
Mhm.
see a little more texture again.
Mhm. Oh, I think there is, definitely, a need for, texture. I
Mhm.
think we like the depth that it gives quilts
Yeah, yeah.
and all of that. So I think there's definitely, something to be said there. If there was one tip or more that you would give quilters for picking out fabrics, um, what might that be? I think that because I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we see is that there is maybe a lack of confidence or when they see a quilt. So when they see your pattern, they're going to go, "Oh, I love that." They've got a set of instructions. They can pull those fabrics and if you want to say replicate that. But
Mhm.
sometimes there is a pattern that doesn't have that clear cut
Sure.
instruction. And I always think, how do we give our customers more confidence in picking out fabrics?
I You kind of said it yourself. Like the best tip I can give is to be open-minded. So
Okay.
many quilters have their go-to palette, and sometimes you have to put that palette aside and play with things that you're not comfortable with. Um, step outside the box, so to say, and play with colors that you're not used to, even if it's just for practice, even if you're just, play with a block and pull some colors that you would never use, or you never have used, and see how it makes you feel while you're
Yes,
using them. And pretty much you can say that if you like those colors, they're going to work together.
absolutely. Well, Patrick, this has been great to have a few minutes of your time. I know you are busy working on the new fabric collections for
Yeah,
Northcott,
yeah,
and I'm sure we'll see lots of new patterns and all of that. So
absolutely.
I really appreciate you being a part of our sew along using your pattern, and
Sure.
I hope that we'll get to see you soon.
Same here. I appreciate you guys taking the time to get in touch with me too. Good to
Uh,
talk to you all.
All right. Have a great day, Patrick.
Take care, Heidi. Bye bye.